How now, brown cow? How now, brown cow? The Human Torch was denied a bank loan. Oh, is that ready to get started? Okay, hello. My name is David Petite, and I am the head of executive rentership positions at a small law corporation in Shreveport, Louisiana, known as PADWBC, during the summertime. So, before I get started on the actual curriculum that I wanted to discuss, I wanted to kind of give you a background of where I've been coming from for the past 2 semesters at Search. I had Professor Jim Vest, who I consider to be one of my mentors, and I'm pretty sure he considers me to be one of his star pupils. We had a very tight bunch as far as classmates go. We had always had a Facebook group, always had group study sessions. You call me the pizza guy, because I always brought the pizza, and I always made B's on all the tests. They called me Buzz, my classmates did. And I always made A's on all the papers. They called me Ace. But I digress. So the main thing I wanted to discuss as far as morals go is, where do you find worth? Because after all, this is a search for value. So what values have I taken away from the school?
How many times do I have to tell you, this is my office. It is not your office.
You know, I thought it would be okay. It's after hours, but I guess not. That I wanted to talk about, which was in the first semester of Search 101, which would be the Epic of Gilgamesh, where I found values in the Epic of Gilgamesh. But let me kind of get resettled here. Gosh, I am just so angry right now that that guy had the audacity, the gall and the nerve to, we'll just disregard that. Here is just a little, my old office, kind of where I started. It, well, it's not my office anymore, but we'll just kind of see what's going on in here. Oh, yeah, well, this will do. Yeah, this will be nice and cozy. So now that we're settled into the old office, and I want to reiterate, old, and it's a bit warmer in here than I had anticipated. The first piece of literature I wanted to talk about was the Epic of Gilgamesh. And I really appreciated the Epic of Gilgamesh because it was written over 2,000 years ago. It was one of the first pieces of literature ever, but yet you can still relate to it. When I first saw that it was on our syllabus, and I looked and I read some of the background on it, I was a little apprehensive because I thought, hey, this is going to be a really old piece of literature with a bunch of archaic language that I'm just going to learn, take a test on, and forget it. But I did. I actually really appreciated it. I really enjoyed it, and I thought it opened up my mind, and it helped me go into the rest of the course curriculum with an open mind. So I think it helped me take a lot more away from the course than I would have otherwise. And so some of the value that I took out of the Aeneid, particularly the character Aeneas, was that he had just gotten done fighting in the Punic Wars. He's on a return journey, but he doesn't know where. He knows that he has a destiny. He knows that he's eventually going to have a kingdom, but the journey was going to be tough. Well, he didn't know the journey was going to be tough at the time. And sometimes I can relate to that because I'm a college student. I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing, but I have this sense about me that something is predetermined about what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, I will find out eventually, but just not now. And I'm going to have some hardships along the way. Hopefully not as bad as Aeneas, but I find comfort in knowing that he found his way, and hopefully I'll find mine too. So now I'm going to kind of delve into my next semester in the Search program, particularly with the work of Summa Theologica by St. Thomas Aquinas. I'm Catholic. I was born and raised Catholic, went to a Catholic school. And I knew that coming into Rhodes, I was going to have some questions thrown my way that I wasn't going to be able to answer. And so what I really appreciated about the Search program is that it kind of gave both sides of the religious spectrum. On one hand, you had the philosophers who were explaining why religion couldn't exist and why God doesn't exist. And on the other hand, you have works like Summa Theologica explaining why God does exist. And what I really appreciated about Summa Theologica is that it answered the questions that I asked my religion teachers growing up that I never really got an honest answer as to why does God exist and like how do you prove it. I guess his proofing methods were the most convincing things to me. And he went through each question and gave a long explanation of why this was true. And I guess that's what really reaffirmed me in my beliefs. I actually got an honest, logical answer, which was something I really hadn't gotten before. And so I think one of the most important things that could have come out of the search program for me was being reaffirmed in my beliefs, and that is definitely what happened. So for that, I'm very appreciative. Also, this third semester taught me the value of thinking. Before, I never really spent any time to myself, but now I find myself just sitting in the quiet, thinking. And that's where I really found myself, found where my beliefs come from. Like, why, what makes me me, not just what other people tell me I am. And for that, third semester, obviously philosophy, it's a lot of thinking, it's a lot of understanding concepts. And I couldn't have been more happy with the decision I made to take this class. Because now I find myself thinking on important issues that pertain to who I am. I'm not just some guy who's floating through life doing what others tell him. I'm actually my own thinking, logical being. And I think that's something very important that I've taken away from this third semester of Search. In conclusion, Search has influenced me in such a way that I'm actually like a rational thinking thing. I know I said that earlier, but honestly, looking back on all 3 semesters, we've taken in so much information, so many different books and articles, and before Search that is, I would just read books, have it in my head, be able to take a test or write a paper on it, and that would be it. But now I find myself actually referencing these books in my everyday life, be like, oh hey, and Summa Theologica, or that's what I've already talked about that, and Plato's Republic, this is what happened, and I can understand this style of thinking now. Also, a lot of references that people make. I mean, that's just, a lot of the times it's just whatever in my head, but now I'm like, oh, I can actually get that, you know, I find myself to be a more intelligent person. And I think that was the ultimate goal of Search, to have a high understanding of the way things work around you. And I hope that doesn't sound too general, but this whole thing has come from the heart. I know I tried to make it funny, but this is how I actually feel. So, thanks for watching. Hello, my name is David Petit, and I am the assistant to the regional manager of the executive runner position at a local law corporation. Some of you might have heard with it. Heard with it, exactly. Thank you. That is what I was. Some of the values that I took away from the work of the Aeneid was Aeneas' undying, and I guess unquenchable thirst for blood. He loved blood. That's what I took. Wow, that is actually something, huh? So, the guy's office I was actually using is in the Rhodes College Athletic Hall of Fame. That is, that's him right there. It's somewhat of a coincidence. I did not realize that, but that is definitely something to include in here. That's pretty awesome.